Hi, I'm Meg. Welcome to Plant Fit Meg. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be sharing a batch cooking video with you. I haven't shared a batch prep video in a while, so I thought it was time to give that a share. My batch prep is really simple. I'm actually going to show what I do over a few days throughout the week rather than just one massive prep in one day, because it's more realistic to what I actually do and what works well for me. So I'll share with you what I batch prepped for this week, and I'll also share other ingredients that I do keep on hand to make full and balanced meals for myself and also for my family as well, my husband and my 9-year-old son. Stay tuned for my next video coming out tomorrow, which will be a full day of eating, and I will be eating some of the things in this video mixed with other things, so it'll give you some more ideas of how to put meals together and how to keep it really simple, really healthy, and high in protein as well. I hope you really enjoy this video. If you like it and if you enjoy batch cooking videos in general, give the video a like, subscribe, and here we go. Batch cooking day 1. I'm starting off my batch prep with some green lentils. I absolutely love lentils. I think they're really versatile to either use in recipes or just to toss into things. And I like to mix them up with different sauces, different grains and greens, and really make them my own throughout the week. So I'm actually just going to boil them up, just cook them up for my prep, which will be really, really easy. I've sorted through them a little bit here. I'm going to rinse them in some cool water, go through and pick out any that look a little funky, and just give them a really, really thorough rinse first. So I have 2 cups of lentils here, and I'm just popping them into the pot. I'm going to add about 3 to 4 cups of water and bring this to a boil over high heat. I am making a mess here, as you can see. I can get quite messy in the kitchen, so I'm just keeping it real and leaving that footage there for you to see. So I'm giving them a little stir. I'll put the lid on and allow them to boil. They've come up to a rapid boil here, so I'm going to go ahead and set my temperature to medium-low so that they're still simmering and there's still a little bit of bubbling happening, but not too dramatic. So this is what it looks like when it's on a gentle simmer. There's just a few bubbles there. I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes, and I will check on them periodically and give them a stir. Next up, I'm going to prep some potatoes. And today I'm going to prep them in my Instant Pot. So I'm putting 1 cup of water in the bottom of my Instant Pot here, putting in my steamer basket, and then putting in all my lovely potatoes here. I just washed them, gave them a good scrub, chopped off any pieces that were a little funky. There was one that was particularly large. I chopped it in half, but otherwise I just left them whole. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure the valve is set to sealing. Set the Instant Pot on manual for 10 minutes. And I'm checking on my lentils here. They're cooking up, but they're not quite done yet. So I'm going to give them a stir, add a little bit more water to the pot, and cook them for another 5 minutes or so. I think they're taking a little bit longer just because I think they're on the older side. I've had them around for a little while, so it's just taking them a little bit of extra time than they normally would to cook. Another option for cooking lentils is to use a pressure cooker or use an Instant Pot to cook your lentils. And I probably would have done that if I wasn't prepping the potatoes in the Instant Pot. That's another option too. So here are the lentils when they're all done. They're all cooked and delicious, and I'm very excited to use them. I like to give them a little taste test to make sure that they're fully cooked. So that's what I'm doing now, just grabbing a couple off of the spoon and just doing a little taste test. Good, golden, great, good to go. There's still a little bit of extra water in the pot, so I'm just going to drain off the excess water that was there, and those are the lentils ready to go. Keep in mind that whatever amount you prep, you're going to end up with a significant amount more than that, almost double what you prep. So I cooked about 2 cups of lentils, and it turned out to be about maybe 3.5, 4 cups of cooked lentils. I've allowed the Instant Pot to release naturally for about 15 minutes, which means I just left it once it beeped for 15 minutes. I'm going to set it to venting, open the lid here, and take a look at my potatoes. And they're gorgeous, they're done, they're cooked, ready to go, ready to enjoy. I love potatoes so much, they're so filling and so delicious. I've just put them in a container here. These potatoes actually won't last very long in my household, and I would have cooked more, but this was the tail end of a bag. So I will be buying more potatoes and probably, spoiler alert, prepping some more potatoes later in this video. All right, next up is my barbecue sauce. Absolutely love this recipe. Really easy to just mix all the ingredients together, and then you have a delicious barbecue sauce good to go. So I'm adding 1 small can of tomato paste to my bowl here. Next up, I'm going to add my spices. So I have 4 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon each of chili powder and cumin, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne. That's optional. It does add a little bit of a kick. I wouldn't say that it's super spicy or anything, but if you don't like cayenne, you could just leave that out. Next up, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of molasses. I love the smell of molasses. I don't know if that's weird, but I really enjoy it. It adds a sweetness, but also sort of a depth to the sauce that I really like. I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. You could also use date syrup instead, and either way it turns out really well. It's just for a little bit of added sweetness. I'm adding a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, a 1/4 cup of water. And if you'd like an even more smoky flavor, you can add 2 teaspoons of liquid smoke. Unfortunately, I didn't have any on hand, so I just omitted it. It turns out really nicely either way, so that's really a choose your own adventure. So I'm just gonna mix it up really thoroughly, mix it up really well. It takes a little bit to incorporate everything with the thickness of some of the ingredients, the spices, and the liquid of the water and the vinegar, but I just mix that all up, take a minute or two to really have it be well combined, and then this is what it turns out like. If you prefer a bit of a thicker sauce, you can start with less water and then sort of taste test and add, and of course add more water if you'd like to thin it out a little bit more. So I'm going to pop the barbecue sauce into a glass jar here. It does make a good amount, so this will be great for me for using for the rest of the week, and also for my family to use as well. And we typically use it up fairly quickly. If you don't think you'll maybe get through it as quickly as we would as a family of 3, you could always cut the recipe in half, and that would work really well as well. So this is what it looks like when it's all mixed up and poured into the container and all done, batch prepped, ready to go. So that was day 1 of batch prep. I have my green lentils, my potatoes, and my barbecue sauce. And now we're gonna get into batch cooking day 2. So batch cooking day 2 was actually super simple. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to include it because I literally just cooked up some brown rice in the Instant Pot, just put in 2 cups of rice, 2.5 cups of water, set it for 22 minutes, and ta-da, fluffy, delicious, beautiful brown rice. And then this was a meal that I actually didn't prepare. So this is my son mixing up some easy cheese, and my husband Marsh had cooked up some pasta, and so I didn't have a chance to catch them and video it and show the process, but I will link the recipe for my easy cheese sauce below. It's just made with nutritional yeast, cornstarch, some spices, and soy milk, and this is what I ended up having for my meal that night. So I had the mac and cheese with some edamame, peas, lentils, and it might seem a bit of an odd choice, but I actually really enjoyed it. I put some ground pepper over the top, and it was delicious. Now getting into batch cooking day 3, I'm going to prepare a really simple tempeh recipe in the air fryer, and this recipe is not super duper flavorful, and it's not super duper flavorful on purpose. So I don't want you to make this recipe and think, oh, it's gonna be like full of flavor and bursting with life. It does have a little bit of flavor, it tastes really good, but it's made as a bit more of a blank canvas so that I can turn it into something else later in the week and enjoy it as different flavors in different meals. So I use this for tacos, I use this for an Asian-inspired dish with rice and mixed vegetables and things like that. I've used this in sandwiches as sort of like a sloppy joe with barbecue sauce, even mixed with my lentils and mixed with other things. So it's a little bit of flavor, but also is neutral enough to add your own spice, add your own flavor after the fact as well. So I'm just chopping this up really finely. You can also just crumple it in your hands, but I find with tempeh it's just easier to chop it up. You could steam your tofu first. Some people find that tempeh is really bitter and they don't love the flavor of it. I tend to skip the steaming step just because I'm too lazy to do it, honestly. It does taste a little bit better if you steam it first, but I just honestly can't be fussed, and usually I'm the one eating most of the tempeh in my household anyway, so I just go with what's easiest to prep for myself. I'm just putting my tempeh into a large mixing bowl here, and I'm going to add a few spices to jazz it up a little bit. Half a teaspoon each of garlic powder and onion powder, adding 1 tablespoon of reduced sodium soy sauce, and at the end I will add some lime juice over the top, but for now I just have the soy sauce and those 2 spices, the garlic and onion powder. I'm going to go ahead and mix that up, and that is how basic and how simple it's going to be. You could of course jazz this up with other flavors that you like. You could add paprika or smoked paprika, some chili powder or cumin. You could really make this your own and add to it and turn it into whatever flavor profile and taste preference that you like. So for this recipe, I'm actually going to use my air fryer. So I'm going to put all of the tempeh into one of the baskets here in my Ninja air fryer. Check out my air fryer first impressions video if you haven't yet. I'll link it above in case you want to check that out. So I'm just going to give it a shake so that the tempeh is a little bit separated. And then I'm going to set the air fryer for 400 degrees and just put it in for 5 minutes. I find that that's all it really needs to cook up and be ready to go. And here's my tempeh all done. It's really nice, really simple, really easy to throw together, really versatile, really delicious. So I've just popped it back into my bowl, and I'm going to juice half a lime over the top of it. I just really like lime. I really love citrus in general, so I find that this just adds an extra freshness, and again, it's sort of well suited to adding other flavors and other sauces later. So if I want to add salsa or barbecue sauce or something else, I can do that, or I can just eat it as is and enjoy it that way. So there's my tempeh all finished. I'm just going to put it into a bowl so I can store that in the fridge for the week. Next up, you guessed it, more potatoes. Here we go. Instead of using the Instant Pot this time around and just putting whole potatoes into the Instant Pot, I'm actually going to chop these up into cubes and put them into the air fryer. You could also cook this in your oven as well. So I'm just chopping them into sort of bite-sized pieces. I'm mixing them up with some Cajun spice. I don't tend to measure it. I just kind of go by how it looks and I'm not too fussy with it. Of course, if you prefer, you can measure things out and do things that way. But for this, when I'm just preparing potatoes, I tend not to measure out all my spices and things, especially if I'm just using one spice, one sort of seasoning blend. So I'm just going to toss that so that they're evenly coated. That's what they look like. Even before they're cooked, they looked so good. I'm always really excited about potatoes. All right, so I'm going to put about half of them into one side of my air fryer and the other half in the other side. I have the 2 baskets, so if I can separate them, I usually do that just so that they'll cook a little bit faster. Setting my air fryer to 400 degrees for 15 minutes. And I usually give them a shake about midway through. It's not completely necessary to do that, but I do find that they cook a little bit more evenly that way. And here are the potatoes after the 15 minutes, all done and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put them into some containers here. Oh, they're not all going to fit in this one container. I have to get another one. So here we go, my second container. And that is day 3 of batch cooking. Potatoes and tempeh all ready to go. So here are a few other items that I always have on hand to put together with my meals. I always have frozen vegetables on hand, multiple different varieties. I usually keep smoked tofu on hand. I always have TVP just in case as something extra I can add to boost the protein content if I want to or need to. And I also keep a few key spices, seasoning blends, and sauces on hand, particularly soy sauce, salsa, sweet chili sauce, sriracha, but also nutritional yeast I'll include in that category as well. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it and found it helpful. I'm hoping it just gives you some ideas of how you might want to put your batch cooking together, or some ways to put some different meals together and just keep it really simple and keep it versatile too. Instead of making a full dish that's a full meal and a full leftover, sometimes it's easier to just kind of make components and make things a little more plain so that you can jazz them up later in different ways and enjoy different flavors throughout the week. So this is just what has been working well for me lately. Let me know in the comment section if you like to batch prep, or if you like to prep leftovers, or if you just kind of cook as you go throughout the week. I'd love to hear your experience and what works well for you. Let me know if you want to see more batch cooking videos, and stay tuned for my full day of high protein vegan eating video coming out tomorrow. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!